What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party.
Peace and love, party people, and a place to be. It's the BKMC, the Talib Kweli. This is the world's best podcast, People's Party. Give it up for my lovely and talented co-host, the best co-host in all of podcast land, Jasmin Leigh. Everybody, what's up, Jasmin? How you feeling?
Oh, what is up? I'm feeling very refreshed. That's how I'm feeling.
From our trip in New York?
Yes. Oh my God. The culture, the book signing, the food.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Oh, it was amazing.
Blue Note show was great.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, by the way.
Yes, thanks for having me.
But we are back on the West Coast, and we're back in Los Angeles.
And we're ready to party.
That's right. Today on the People's Party, I'm very excited about today's guest. Today's guest is somebody who is a wordsmith, an MC, an artist that I have a massive amount of respect for, a true son of Los Angeles. In a single decade, this gentleman has dropped 9 mixtapes, including classics like The 25th Hour, Future Street Drug Sounds with the homie Sour Milk, Best After Bobby, From the Westside with Love, the Yellow Album, which is a classic. We're going to get into that. He's also released 8 studio albums throughout his career, including From the Westside with Love 2, Get Home Safely, Los Angeles Is Not For Sale, Volume 1, Volume 2, courtesy of $500,000. It's a collaboration with Hit Boy. Hit Boy right now is one of the most prolific producers doing it, and Rap and Roll, of course. He's collaborated with everyone from the late great Nipsey Hussle to Freddie Gibbs to Murs to Rick Ross to Kendrick Lamar. He's eclectic. His music is pure West Coast, but it's also purely hip-hop, full of wordplay and references that show a deep love and understanding and appreciation of the genre. It really goes beyond geographic designations, but this man represents Leimert Park very, very heavy. We had The Game on the show. The Game from Los Angeles talked about this man and said this man represents what Los Angeles is. He said he has $1 billion mind. He said he is a West Coast legend. We are talking about Dom Kennedy with the People's Party today.
Man.
What's up, Dom Kennedy?
What up, man? I'm feeling great. Happy to be here.
No doubt.
Shout out to Talib, man. That was a hell of an intro right there.
Cheers,
Best
man.
intro I ever got in my life, man.
You earned that, man.
Appreciate it.
The Game is one of my favorite artists, and he's always been so good to me. When we had him on the show for Born the Rap, it surprised me that he said Dom Kennedy was executive producing the album. But it gave me a new way to look at you. Like, put a new layer of what I knew about Dom Kennedy. Your minimalist, sort of straightforward style. I don't know if you know how much you've influenced me as an MC.
Man,
songs like Keep It Coming. The first song you ever had that I liked was 2 Miles an Hour with Big Crit.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of that song when it came out. After School, of course, My Type of Party. The spacing and the confidence in which you lay your rhymes to the beat. You make MCs jealous of how good your songwriting is. Like, you write very, very incredible rap songs. What made you decide, and it reminds me of something that Evidence said from Dilated, it's not where you place your words, it's where you don't.
Right.
You know, what made you decide to come up with that style?
It's how I talk. You know, first of all, you know what I mean? It's how I talk. It's kind of how I think about life. You know, I try to think of like the best way to get to the point. You know, I don't like explaining things. You know what I'm saying? On the first song on Rap and Roll, I think I say that. You know, I don't explain much. I like rhyme that in my, and I think rap is more about who you are. You know, yes, certain things could be, you know, manipulated and insinuated, and you could say, you know, want to pump this side of yourself up more, but it's really gonna come down to who you are. I think my style is more just about who I am. You know, but with a consciousness to it. You know, because it's like, I can't, if I was gonna turn in an essay and the teacher was like, it's minimum 100 words, I'm probably gonna do the 100 words.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna figure out the best way to do the 100 words. I'm not gonna be the person do the 550 words and try to, you know, that's just not me as a person. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to say whatever you could say in 500 and 100.
Yeah, that's so inspirational for me because I'm seen as a very loquacious, wordy MC. And I had to learn when I started making music professionally how to get more to the beat. Hip Hop DX, which I don't really fuck with, but I fuck with Crooked Eye. I fuck with Crooked Eye show. A writer of Hip Hop DX called you a conscious hedonist once. And it reminds me of something that Feel the Agony, our mutual friend, calls me Gentleman Savage. And he called me that back in the day because he said, yo, you could be like a fucking savage, but you're really a gentleman.
Right.
How do you balance being a person who in your music likes to have sex, party, have fun, smoke weed, but also you just said, I'm conscious. I put the consciousness into the music.
Same way with real life. I kind of try to think about my life growing up and, you know, being exposed to so many things in LA, you know, women, obviously weed, you know, the culture, the gang culture is heavy out here. Just surviving, period, you know, in South Central. And being somebody is really important, you know. So I would be lying if I said I didn't partake in none of it. You know what I'm saying? But I would also be lying if I said I sold all the weed that came out the neighborhood. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or had something to do with that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So it's like I'm somewhere in the middle. You feel me? I'm somewhere in the middle. Like that's truly my place. Like, yeah, I attended the parties that might have got shot up, but I didn't shoot nobody.
Right.
I was just with my homie and he had the gun and we was there just to make sure we got to the house.
Right.
But we still went though.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's important that I let people know that, like, I was there. I was a part of the story. I'm a part of the community. Whatever you want to call it, the neighborhood, whatever. But this my role in it.
I was talking to our director, Steve, and we were talking about your appeal. Because sometimes, and I'm sure you've heard this before, sometimes people don't understand your appeal. They be like, what is it about Dom Kennedy that make niggas really fuck with Dom Kennedy?
Right.
And I think what it is what you just described. LA people romanticize the gang culture and the West Coast culture. It's such a vibe. That's something that if you're not participating in it, you're really an outsider.
Right.
You're somebody who got music and strong personal relationships with Terrence Martin and them,
Right.
Kendrick and them,
Right.
Nipsey and them,
Yeah.
The Game,
Yeah.
Snoop, whoever.
Yeah.
But you are saying in your music, I'm not out here like gang banging. I'm not
Right.
out here participating in violence.
Right.
I'm out here, and I think you become an entry point for people who
Right.
want to be a part of the West Coast culture,
Right.
but don't want to play the tough guy role.
I'm trying to, my goal was always to show people the best of our lives. You feel me? Not exploit like the bad, the traumas or the worst of it, you know? Like, cause that does exist, but you know what? We have great days also.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we have
Like you
cool,
said, today was a good day.
Like we have cool days also. We have families also. Like my grandmother don't believe in, she live in one of the worst parts of Compton, you know? But she don't talk crazy. And
Right.
if I went in her house and we was, you know what I mean?
Right.
She'll be like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it's who you are and it's my job to be as, you know, I try to be as exact with it as possible, you know?
Yes,
it's hard because we do have multiple sides. Like, when I leave her house, I got to go somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? But I'm still myself, but it's just different circumstances, you know? And I try to let people understand both, you know, and not try to, I never wanted to, like, exploit none of this, you know, even though I could, even though some people do or did, and they tell like one part of a story, but it's like, but who was you in elementary school?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Who are you when those people not around with you? You know what I'm saying? Who are you at your grandmother's house? Who are you when it's just you and your mom? What does she say about you?
Right.
And I never wanted to be caught where it's like, to me, my biggest star on my belt is I'm my mom's favorite rapper.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Nobody
I feel
else don't really matter.
I feel that.
My mom proud of what I say and what I do, and she know it's true. So it's like, when you think about it like that, it's like, who am I really trying to impress?
That's so ill because I've always written in a way where I was like, if I can't say it in front of my mom or my kids, I can't say it.
Good or bad.
Yeah, good
and
or
she
bad.
knows me, so she
Right.
know I might cuss if I'm mad, or I might say something like, you know, I'll do this if this happen. But she know me, so she know I'm not playing if I feel that way too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, am I like that all the time? Hell nah.
Yeah, man.
You know?
The balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things I've ever been able to participate in is working with Strong Arm Steady and helping them get the Arm & Hammers album out.
Okay.
And, you know, you say like, Mitchie, I'm slick on your records. You got all types of records with Krondon.
Yeah.
You reminded me when you came in that the first time we met was when you was on tour with Krondon.
Yep.
And y'all was in London.
Yep.
Tell me about your relationship with Krondon and Strong Arm in general.
Man, Krondon is just a LA staple, man, a really great guy, first and foremost. Chase Infinite,
shout out to Chase.
Another, pillar in the, you could say the whole society on any side, and
That's right, because Chase was in New York for a few years too.
Yep, exactly. And I met a lot of people
Krondon
in New York.
Got connections in New York too.
Exactly, from being with Chase in New York when he was down in Lower East Side at his shop, at the shop out there.
Krondon even before then, he was down with X-Clan back in the day.
I just appreciate knowledgeable people that tell you the truth, and that's been there. And those guys, people like Krondon, they insight and they experience and knowledge on what we do is like priceless, and you will be a fool not to listen, he told me so many stories. I was in a Sprinter van overseas 2 weeks, just in a Sprinter van, 4 people, Krondon, one of the people, and really all we could do some days was just conversate, but in those conversations you learn so much, about other people, about yourself, about the city, what somebody else saw, their perspective might be different how they saw something go down. And it's like, I talk to those guys about things like that,
Yeah, good guys, man. Some of my favorite people I've ever met in this business. Both of them dudes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Leimert Park has such rich history. It's like an epicenter for African-American culture. Chase Infinite, as you were just talking about, he has Haran Coffee out there. Issa One Books is there. When you look at Leimert Park's Wikipedia page, it says home of Ray Charles, Ella Fitzgerald, and Dom Kennedy.
Wow.
How has being from...
I worked hard for that.
Yes.
Right up. Let's get a clap for that.
Yes.
I worked hard for that. Yeah, for
How
real.
has being from Leimert Park impacted and influenced you as an artist?
Well, I mean, outside of being a CEO one day, and that's speaking more in the music business, but the first thing I wanted to do just simply... My whole thesis was starting music as a rapper was to put Leimert Park in a favorable position. That was all I really thought about, because the reason being that's where I actually learned my love of rap music and where I first saw my friends rap and understood this is not something that just Eazy-E could do or Big Daddy Kane could do or Wu. You know what I mean? Like the homies made a song about the neighborhood, And so after that day, I didn't want to be a rapper, but I understood that these was just people telling their stories or their realities, and I was proud that some people that I knew, made a song about our neighborhood.
Right.
And so as I got older, I always remembered that, and I was like, I want to do that same thing, but I want to push it over the world.
You majored in business management at Santa Monica College, right? Terrence Martin went to Santa Monica College. Were you there at the same time as him?
I wouldn't even know.
Okay.
I didn't know Terrence back then, man, for sure.
He's probably older than you?
Yeah, for sure. At least a couple years.
What did you learn while majoring in business management that helped impact your career and maybe help impact your decision to stay independent?
I learned that, I took 2 major classes, I would say. I took business management and business law. That was really my only reasons for being there, because business management, I learned that when 2 people do the same thing, one of them is unnecessary.
Right.
Immediately, I understood that. And I was like, okay, I learned what I need to know, out of that. Business law, I can't really say. I just learned, maybe that's part of where the confidence stuff comes from. It was more technical, harder language, but I remember one of the requirements in that class was, it was a female lady teacher. She was like, y'all got to get up and say what y'all think y'all going to do in 10 years or whatever, how people do. And I told the class, yeah, I'm going to be rapping one of the best. And they laughed, you know what I'm saying? And at that time, I wasn't even really seriously. And I remember my homie that used to roll with me, I'm 18 at the time. My homie, he was in the class and he kind of looked up and was like, why you say that? You know what I'm saying? But already in my mind, I was making, mental little preparations, I guess, to take steps to do that when my opportunity came, And I was just telling the lady, really, I'm not here to get no degree or nothing. I'm just learning. So when I figure out what I need to know, I'm out of here, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, you've always approached it from a very, like you said, I'm not the guy who's gonna give you the 500 words. I'm gonna be more efficient.
Right.
I give you the 100 words. You've always been very efficient.
Yeah.
With the way that you've approached entering the business and making music.
Thank you.
Can we talk about your cousin Jason Madison?
Yeah,
for a second,
sure.
because when you linked up with him on 25th Hour mixtape, it seemed like that was like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Artistically.
Well, yeah. I mean, we was a match. That's my real cousin. You know, his mom is my aunt, and I would say that he's the sole responsible person for me starting then, because I'll tell you why. He was a DJ. And if you go back to the beginning of hip hop and anything, what does it have to take it, get it going?
With the DJ.
A DJ.
Yeah.
So in my life, you know, he was way more serious than me, but in a different aspect. And he would DJ parties, he would get money. You know, he was still in high school. And so, you know, back then, vinyls was still what a DJ played. CDs too, but vinyls, if you were still popping, this, you know, they still have vinyls, and on the vinyl, they have the instrumentals. So off those instrumentals, after the parties and on the weekends, I would write raps to whatever was the top, you know, they playing the top 20, whatever the best songs is at the time. So all of those songs had instrumentals. I would rap on them. And he was one kind of like, you should make a song, you should do this, you should do that. He get out of high school, go to LMU, and that's when we started working on 25th Hour, have more access. We was paying for studio time. This guy around the way off Slauson, Verdun, recording us. Shout out to Mr. Payback. He used to record us $25 an hour. And that's how we started 25th Hour. We would run back to LMU, listen, you know, see what we liked about it, what we didn't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then that's how we started literally, you know, making a foundation for me having a career.
Yeah, man. Most Def said recently on my other podcast with, he said it on this podcast. I get my podcast confused now.
Oh my
Because I was
God,
on
he's
the
so
ad.
popular.
He said, Yasin said on this podcast, if you love art, you'll make art.
Right.
You know, and you don't wait for the fans or the accolades. Y'all just out here doing it.
Right. And honestly, today I'm back in that space more so than ever, even than I was at that time. But you're absolutely right. If you're good at something, or even if you just had a desire, you know, you might not have all the way the skill or the confidence, but if you just had that desire, like you said, to get up and paint. I watched my homie make himself into a great painter, you know, just transitioning just by getting up and loving it every morning. And it's like after 300 days of doing that, you'll obviously, you know, get better and excel at anything. And it's like, you have to love art, man. And we was always, I could say, we was always down to make innovative, new rap songs.
Speaking of innovative rap songs, Watermelon Sunday was a huge success for you. For me personally, I loved the storytelling aspect of the song. That's what I fell in love with in hip hop. Can you explain the importance of the visuals in the world of music, of understanding the visuals?
Oh man, for us, that was another key aspect to Jason, my cousin, and our relationship at the time, and the vision that we had. Because after he was DJing, he didn't go to college. Obviously, you can't go to college to DJ. He was going to college to be a film student. So we immediately was like, oh shit. Not only can we record these songs and talk about ourselves and people we know and people we hang out with and Leimert and wherever, you know, we could show them. And now, especially if you can remember back to those times, like the rap industry was pretty much like, now everybody got a video, people could go viral, you know, the power's back on. But back then, you know, they kind of was leaving it alone. They didn't want to really mess with the rap game too much. It was all free anyways. You know, nobody was really trying to be artistic or like show some fly. But we had grown up watching all the great stuff. So we wanted our chance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We wanted to
it's like, where's my Hype Williams
Right,
video?
exactly. Exactly.
Right.
We like, well, damn, like, that's cool. Y'all made all this, said what y'all wanted to say and show what y'all wanted to show, and then kind of left it. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, we was happy to be like, cool, we'll show it. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of our position. We was more than pleased to like show it, and we definitely understood, to answer your question, that would take us places and be in front of people that we couldn't even imagine at the time. And it did.
Right.
you showed like your culture.
Right.
And then you came out shortly after that with Westside, from the Westside with Love, which then you had from Westside with Love 2, and then, like you said, you're working on 3. You had a couple mixtapes before that impacted, but from Westside with Love, you have a lyric, I don't remember the exact lyric, but you were like, yo, the Future Street, that's cool, but this is my new shit.
Yeah,
I need y'all to move me over here.
Yeah.
The song Still Me speaks to me directly. Your intimate use of real names. You say, I get my James Yancey on and raise it up. But that's for us.
Yeah.
That's for people who know that just Jay Dilla that you're talking about. I rep that David Blake because you'll forever be a legend. That's for the West Coast. That's for us. DJ Quick is one of the best producers I've ever worked with. Me and him got 4 songs together. He was on my debut solo album, Quality. I was on the album that came after Balance and Options. You said O'Shea gonna be first, so I'll forever be the second. Obviously, you talking about Cube. What do these from the Westside with Love records say about you as an artist and a member of the Los Angeles community?
They're my core. Like, you know, if it was one sentence, if you had one thing to sum it up about me, that would be it.
From the Westside with
That would
Love.
be the name of my book.
Wow.
That's what you could call it. And that would be synonymous with my name forever. It's like my foundation. You know? When I thought of it, I would hope it would be that. But now that it's materialized and I'm on the 3rd one and it's 2021, it's pretty much, you know, set in stone at this point.
When you were describing to somebody I was reading from the Westside with Love 3, you said you're still in love with making great rap music.
Yeah.
That phrase spoke to me because you got to be in love with it to do what we do.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. It's been days where it was like other things started weighing down on the process, you know, or getting in the way of that. And that's natural. Like we talked about that a little earlier about just having a career as opposed to one good summer or one good season. It's a lot different, you know. I imagine in any profession, you know what I'm saying? But at this point, it's like, you know, I have a son, he's 10 years old. I'm teaching him, he's falling in love with baseball, and I'm just trying to show him the main thing is about being a pleasure to watch. You know?
Yeah.
Enjoying it.
Yeah.
That shows.
Yeah.
People could tell. You know, that's what they pay for. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes even though you think you might be right or you might actually be right, you know, but people more, they want to watch and they want to listen to people that is in love with what they do. When you have a girlfriend, she wants you to be in love with her, you know, not just be like, you all right. You know what I'm saying? Or this or that. It's like everything's better when you putting it all out there for whatever you trying to accomplish or wherever you trying to get to, you know, and that's the only way in my eyes at this point to even have the opportunity to be successful, because you could still do it all right and not be successful.
And I will say, to speak on what you just said, even though we're not interviewing Talib, watching the show at the Blue Note when you and all your friends were just up there rapping, and I was like, wow, they really love what they do, and it made you want to be on stage rapping along with them. It was just like they're doing it for the love and nothing else.
It's different.
She's talking about, I just did a 3-night run at the Blue Note, 2 nights a week, but the Blue Note is in Greenwich Village, and that's where I built my career rapping in the park. So it's like, whenever I do the Blue Note, because it's funny, when I was a kid, it was the stuffy jazz club. I used to take girls to dates there. The other dudes to take them to the movies. I'm taking you to jazz club. You know, I was on some fly shit. But now I'm on stage, and dudes who I rap with back in the day will show up at the show, and I'll see him in the audience. Like you see, I said, is that Jedi back there? Like,
come on stage.
These niggas I ain't seen in years. Come on stage. You know what I'm saying? We bring back that Lyricist Lounge vibe, but in the jazz club. Yeah, it was fun. You rap about this restaurant Earl's a lot.
Oh, Earl's is delicious.
I've never been to Earl's.
It's by my house, because you don't come to my hood.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Y'all tell me about Earl's. Tell me about Earl's. Let's give Earl's.
Earl's is a world famous, I guess you could say a hot dog type of diner.
Okay.
But my affection with Earl's is decades in the making, man. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's definitely a family-owned business. You know, if you ever stop by there, send them all my love. They know me well. But my affection for Earl's is they're a small, great, independent business, you know? And I watched them switch multiple locations. When I used to go to the Martin Luther King parade, that cuts through Leimert, down King. You know, when you get to the Avenue, 7th Ave, 8th Ave on that side, 5th Ave, 6th Ave, that's where I used to be with my little sister and my mom, and they would have carts out there, you know what I mean, selling hot dogs. So that's my earliest memory of that. Then as I get older, they got a shop on Crenshaw now. Go in there. Everybody on Crenshaw, anyway, barbershop, hanging out, doing whatever you do. Let's go walk up here to Earl's. Go up near Earl's. What's up? You know? It's just been in my life.
You gotta
It's been
come.
in my life.
Okay, I'll come.
Maybe
let's
early
go.
90s it's been in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, Earl's is just a part of the community, you know, to answer the question. You know, the beef link, that's my favorite with the chili, mustard, little raw onions, Players Punch.
Players Punch.
You know, that's Dom Kennedy right there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So let's talk about OPM. You starting up OPM. It started as a crew and record label, but now it's involved into a fashion house.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the recent designs have stepped out of the realm of artist merch and more towards a fashionable look.
Thank you.
Was that you're welcome. Was that the plan all along?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, how involved are you in the day-to-day, which I feel like a lot since you're really feeling the
I'm
compliment.
involved, you know, in the whole process. It's a small company, just like the music. You know, we about 3 or 4 deep as of right now, but that was the plan from the jump, was to show the difference between, like what you said, an artist merch, something you will buy on tour, something Dom Kennedy related, and then just something that's like off, just of the brand that somebody could buy. Let's say we had a full-on retail space in any mall in America. If you don't know anything about my music, don't care, you might listen to like jazz all day or whatever, but you still might be like, this is a nice shirt. You know what I'm saying? This the best products I seen in the mall today was out of this store right here. That's kind of like my thinking.
That's good. Increase your revenue stream.
I've always had a good eye for like just fashion and putting things together, logos, colors, anything, you know. And so I don't really look at it like, for me, like it's a way to increase my revenue stream or even promote. I still wear more brands of others than I do of mine, but I look at it like an extension of, you know, my true self.
Okay, yeah.
My true self. Like, I would have a shot at this. I would be doing this without the music.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I would still continue this. You know, I might do it for the next 30 years if I don't do rap music.
That's dope. I was talking about a good friend, Nico Is. He was somebody who put me on to you. And you know what? I got to shout out Casey Veggies.
Yeah. Shout him out.
I got to be honest, I haven't really done my homework on this artist.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with his catalog.
Right.
But he was on a Nico Is album before I met Nico Is. So he was earlier on Nico than I was.
Smart.
You know what I'm saying? That name constantly comes up.
Casey Veggies?
Constantly. Whenever when I'm doing my research for People's Party, it's like, oh, okay, some work with this person. He worked with this person.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I need to go do my homework on that artist. But Nico, when he found out that I was interviewing you, he's like, yo, you have to ask about the Yellow album.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the fan favorite.
Definitely.
For you. We Ball with Kendrick is a great record.
Yeah.
The Too Short record. What's the name of the Too Short record?
Don't Call Me.
Don't Call Me. The things that he's saying on that song, that came out in 2012?
Yes, sir.
The things he's saying on that song about, I'm really in the studio. That's exactly what I was going through in 2012. So I'm like, I wasn't listening to that record in 2012.
Yeah.
I was late on it.
Right.
But when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's where I was at. That's where I was at with it. We probably around the same studios around that same time. Because, you know, Too Short was on the Strong Arm record as well.
Word.
You showcase your, like, rhyme patterns very well, like, on that record. I feel like Derrick Rose and the Rarest Clothes.
Yeah.
That shit is 400 for the jeans, bought 2 pair of those.
Yeah.
That shit, as an MCs hear some shit like that. Like, yeah. On that same song, you said, if I lived in New York, I'd probably be the Brooklyn type.
Yeah.
Me as a Brooklyn type.
Yeah.
Break that lyric down for me.
Okay. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to New York. Period.
Yes, New York.
That's
period.
just from my perspective of LA. You know, Brooklyn fits more like a South Central vibe. You know what I mean? Like I always kind of like understood that. Like, you know, you might have a good day, but you might get into some confrontations. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially back in the periods I grew up at, and just the artists, you know, yourself, Biggie, you know, all the artists and all the camaraderie, Busta Rhymes, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, like a lot of people that I studied and that I looked at, and they was like, dang, they from Brooklyn. It's more like how my homies and how myself kind of interacted. I saw that in the Brooklyn guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Raekwon was on the show and said, everybody know that Brooklyn is the valedictorian of all the boroughs. I was like, that's a perfect way to put it. You know what I'm saying? Because
South Central could be the
valedictorian of the West Coast. LA,
for sure. Or the West Coast, yeah, for sure. You could say that.
I was silently hating Talib, but after actually experiencing Brooklyn as an adult, I will say it is pretty badass.
Yeah, we have a good vibe there.
Yeah, for sure.
On the Yellow album, besides Kendrick and Too Short, you have Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Was there something where you almost signed with Rick Ross?
Yeah, at that time, you know, I was running with Ross a little bit, and he was just, you know, shout out to Rose for sure. Man, I still have a lot of respect for him. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, you know, he's made tremendous, you know, he was already a superstar doing this thing, but he's made tremendous, you know, business and music moves since then. But I think that he was transitioning from the Def Jam Platinum, you know, out the gate rapper, new artist. And, you know, he was moving past that and becoming one of like the greats on that level, and he was starting his own label, and that was it. And he just had guys in mind that, you know, obviously the Meek Mill situation worked out. You know what I mean? Wale. Yeah, it was a lot of people around at that time. A lot of dudes was going. I remember was going to South by Southwest and a lot of things, and they was just trying to put a team together.
Okay.
And he was just, you know, feeling me as like, I met him through Nick Diamond. On Fairfax, actually, Diamond Supply Co. He was in there getting some shit. I was up there just
clothes you
hanging
only
out.
wear once?
Yeah, exactly. Some of them T-shirts and stuff like that and goodie bags.
Right.
And just had the opportunity to meet him, and we kept in touch. And I think he was just trying to start a label. The business didn't work out, but it was all love. He did that verse for me, came through. It's all solid.
No doubt.
So I love the song My Type of Party.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's be real.
It's a good one.
Cute girls and nice bodies. Cute faces
together,
and nice
huh?
bodies. That's it. That's the only party anybody wants to be at. Did you know that song was going to be so huge? And why do you think that the track did so well?
I think the track did well because of the music, you know. DJ Dahi that produced it. It was a fly little beat. And then like kind of, you know, I don't ever like talking about my own like structures and approaches, but we've been talking about it, and just like the pocket that I found in that time, and just sharing the experiences.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like people always want to know what it looked like, what it feel like. I made that song kind of casually, freestyling it a little bit, and that was the beginning of me finding a new and a true rhyme pattern that I could run with and exploit, honestly. And I think that was new. It was groundbreaking for rap to be like approach like that, you know, on a serious level, on a fly new song. You know,
right.
people wasn't doing it like that. Like if you're a good songwriter, you could listen to everything before that song and then get to that song, and it's gonna automatically stick out. You know, everything about it, and then it's kind of like whatever came out after that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think all of those things together, but it was just kind of like casual. I was warm. I was hot at the moment recording songs off the Yellow album. You know, I feel like I was, you know, NBA Jam heating up, and then I got hot, and then I listened to it. I remember listening to it the day after I recorded it. And I was like, I think I did something fly last night. I went and listened to it. I'm like, yeah, this shit sound good. You know what I'm saying? It felt good, you know? And I remember putting it out before the Yellow album came out. I put it out as a single, maybe a month or two before. And I just got a good response. You know, I always got good responses. I would put out whole projects. People, you know, might come up to me in the street, but off that single coming out, I could just tell how people looked at me and pay homage, that like I had tapped into a new musical space, you know, in a different way, you know. And then I already had all the rest of the album pretty much locked in. So it was just like that song being the centerpiece, and then a great body of music, you know, to accompany it. It was kind of just like a good moment I caught.
That song is the answer to Who All Over There. Because you know, whenever you about to go, like, Who All Over There? And then you just play the chorus, like, all right, I'm on the way.
It's just my version of a LA little kickback, they would call it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a song you could play at that, like how, if you wonder how mine look or how, you know, what song I would play or, you know, that would be the answer. You know what I'm saying? That's a Dom Kennedy version of a nice LA, you know, little function where we all came. It's not a club, but it's a cool, like everybody look good, you surveying it. That's how the song sounds, you know?
Let's talk about Get Home Safely a little bit.
Yes.
Y'all were redoing clips from the Warriors.
Yeah.
You know, me as a New
you
Yorker.
The first one that really ever articulated that like that. I still tell people that because a lot of people don't know about the Warriors.
Rest in peace to Lynn Thigpen, who was the voice. She was also the voice of Carmen Sandiego.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she had. All you saw was her lips in that movie.
Yeah.
Me as a New Yorker, that movie, the costumes was extravagant.
Right.
And the way that the gangs operated, it wasn't like that.
Right.
But what was true about the movie was, if you were in the Bronx and had to get to Coney Island, at that time in New York, what was a problem for you?
Right.
It was a problem going through the different neighborhoods, sort of like how LA is if you have to take public transportation. What made you want to use that film as an inspiration?
Honestly, I try to be a student. I feel like this is important, and I think that people, you know, you giving me the opportunity to say this, but I think that people should study things. If you expect something out of the world, you should study just as much or more than what you, even if you have a lot, you should try to find out, because it's always people that did it better, had a harder time doing it, had more obstacles. It's always people out there. Yeah. And so I try to study things, honestly, albums, movies, anything I can in the process of making an album. And so people suggest me things all the time, and I had never heard about that, you know, but I might have been saying something that sparked them to say, You ever seen the Warriors? So I'm like, nah, what's that? Go buy it, watch it. I'm loving it. I'm watching it over and over, like instantly. I could see that it's obviously in the 70s, maybe.
It's early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah. So to me, it gives me like a late 70s vibe, but I could see early 80s. And I was just loving it. And as I'm making Get Home Safely, I'm like, damn. That's kind of how I feel, you know, about, and in my adolescence about, you know, I related so much to that, you know, having a mom, having an auntie, where it's like my mom, you know, on the Nip song on Double Up, I say, young nigga, blue pager on my hip, you know, because my mom had to give me a pager to keep in contact with me. I made it blue, you feel me? But she gave me a pager and change, so I couldn't have no way to call her. I didn't know she was looking for me when I would stay out after school till, you know, sun went down and just be all over it, you know? And so I could relate to that. Out of the whole movie, it's like, what could I relate to the most? You know, obviously it's I could have put on a leather jacket and, you know, the vest, but that's for somebody else. People do that. They take, if they want to be that person, and it's like, nah, I'm going to be me. But what can I take from all the greatness that I encounter and go through? And I related to that. My aunts, my grandmother, you know, you might not see him, but you'll hear him on the phone. Dominic, da-da-da-da-da. I heard this, and I love that part of the movie artistically, and I just wanted to incorporate that. And that's my aunt on Get Home Safely doing those in betweens and those drops. Okay, that's my aunt.
I just made the connection, like even like, you know, you rap a lot about how information gets passed through the neighborhood, word on the street.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And they were trying to get home safely.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I immediately. It's apparent, like I looked at mine like an audio version of the Warriors. Yeah. From an LA perspective, you get what I'm saying? So it was like, it was instinctual, I guess, for me to ask my aunt, like, do these drops. She didn't even know what I was doing. She probably never seen it. Yeah, I wrote them out with her, recorded them over and over, you know, had her come to the studio and listen to some of the songs, you know. And so when she comes in, it's paying homage to the Warriors, but it's like the narration, how it would be for my movie.
Right. On the song Intermission for Watts, and you love your intermissions and interludes.
I do.
It's beautiful. It makes the albums feel more personal.
I do.
You say that Watts is the motherland, and if you're scared of your own people, you're scared of yourself. Yeah. That's such a bar. LA and those areas, Watts, South Central, Leimert Park, experience gentrification just like Brooklyn does. What are the reasonable, acceptable ways that you see neighborhoods changing, possibly through gentrification, and what are the problematic ways?
The successful ways is, I feel like, is the awareness on the food and the conditions. I love that, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody should eat better. Everybody should become more health conscious, you know? And just exposed to just, even if it's just the information, it might take you years. It costs a lot of money to be healthy, you know, and eat well. That's no doubt. But I just love that, just seeing that that's something you didn't see, honestly. Like, I lived in my whole life in LA, you know, on the West. So it's like, being in Leimert, my mom moved there probably 92, you know. It's like, you never saw that. You never saw a real emphasis on that. And now you see that a lot, and people patronizing those businesses. I got a dude in Leimert who, and I, you know, same way with like Earl, he used to sell organic, healthy juices for years, bro, decades, you know. Now I see him, I'm so proud. Like, he got his bottled glass label. You know, he used to pop the cooler. It was from Philly.
Yeah.
If you in Leimert, you know him. You know what I'm saying? And I would always, $3, you know, see him. Whatever he got, I know it's fire, I'm getting it, and I know it's healthy, but now it's like he has flavors, he has them in bottles, you know what I'm saying? It looks good. It's like important, you know, to see the evolution of people's dreams, you know what I'm saying, come to fruition no matter how long it takes, you know?
That happens, though, but people get displaced.
Yeah,
and like you
sure.
said, it becomes more expensive.
So
for
the
other
other
people.
side of that would be, I think you see it more intensified in like everything from like, you know, gentrification. The price of homes is ridiculous, obviously, you know, to even policing probably, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've noticed like little parks and things like that get upgraded. And it's like, on the one hand, you want it to all look beautiful. You want it to all look fly, and it should.
Yeah.
But it took a long time, you know, with money that was there for a long time.
Right. And
you know, so you kind of wonder, like, again, as somebody if you just first time coming through, it's all good. But if you've been there for a while and you know, like, that was a dirt field for 18 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, literally just dirt. Nobody cared. They didn't come put no water on it. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's you know, it's planted, it's like taken care of, and it's like that comes with the money in the area, so it's a give and take, man. It's a give and take.
Yeah. Well, I live in an area that's currently being gentrified, and what's the annoying part is that they've raised the rent up, but they haven't put any other stores on there. So they're just raising the rent. And then with raising the rent, they're also now people are getting more tickets because there's like multiple people living in these houses because they can't afford it.
Right.
And they're still keeping the people down because like now they're giving them parking tickets because you got to park in the rent or you got to park in the park.
It's eventually designed to get rid of people that can't afford it, you know? And you know, it's not no secret who's mostly on the short end of the stick financially. In LA, the game is like, you could go pretty much wherever if you could afford it. You could, you know, that's what it is. Like, you could have access to some places you can't, you know? But in LA, you can if you can afford it, you know? And that's like Jazz was saying, if the price goes from $825 a month to $2,400 a month, same spot. You know, same spot. Like, you could redo the bathroom. That don't cost that much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You could call the top floor a penthouse.
Yeah, it don't cost that much.
I live in the penthouse now.
Yeah.
Shut up, Steve.
So in LA, it's gonna go to who could afford it. And right now, a lot of people, you know, family homes, apartments, people is getting priced out. I mean, you could drive around and see the numerous homeless people. That's one thing that frustrates me. If I would say anything bad about LA, the number one thing would be the homeless people.
Right.
You know, it's almost disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? But it is certain conditions that they're going through where it's like, it's mental, you know, and I understand that as an adult. Some people don't want to be taken care of, just being real. You know what I mean? They'll rather do whatever they want to do, and that's not really how society is structured. But it's no reason why everything should be $1 million and a homeless person outside.
Yeah,
that's kind of,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like it should be kind of one or the other. Like when it was 300,000 or 200,000, it was like you can understand somebody slip up. There's a couple homeless, but now it's like everything $1 million, and it's 1 million homeless people.
You got homeless neighbors.
So it's like it's not no way to just bounce back from being homeless and buy $1 million crib.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really, you know?
Yeah.
It's not. And it's a struggle to watch that, you know, as you rise and as you just live as a person, you know. It's like it's a human condition, you know.
Yeah.
And I would be lying if I said I didn't notice it, you know, when I'm shopping, when I go eat, when I'm with my son, you know, no matter where you at in the city, I laugh about it because it's sad, you know, in a way when I'm out and I point out to people, right, when you going to look at a house and you like, it's $2 million, and then right around the corner, it's like 10 homeless people. And it's like, come on, man, for real. You know what I mean? Like, we got to figure it out.
Well, home is very important to you, and I really like that project. Again, when we had Terrence on here, he kept saying over and over again, talking about his experience growing up, where he grew up, which is very close to where you grew up.
Yep.
He kept saying, man, we just wanted to get home safe. He said that several times, and it made me think, and when we had him, I didn't know I was going to be interviewing you. Yeah. But I was thinking, okay, Dom has this album, Get Home Safe. That must be just a thing, but it's like a LA thing or...
It's something you feel in your heart, you know?
Yeah.
It's something you probably feel in your heart, you know? No matter what side you on, it's the good days, bad days, but the majority of them, it's like, man, you know, you could do your thing. You know, that's why I think another thing people get don't think, like I have a lot of friends that's Crips, obviously, and I have homies I grew up with that's Bloods. And I love them all. They love me. We hang out together. We party together. They respect me. Like, representing your neighborhood and wherever you grew up is not a bad thing. You know, it's only bad when you become disrespectful or when violence, you know what I'm saying, and other things become in play. And that's what the news sees. Yeah. But in a party, in a school setting, in a city, in the movies, like, we all sit together. Yeah. You feel me?
Got to.
We all hang out. We all pass each other neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to Compton, you know, the real Pyrus, you know, the real Pyru Street, you know, people that really do that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, I hang out, like I go to their liquor store, I'm not disrespectful. I'm just myself, you know, and they could appreciate that. Yeah. Like anybody could appreciate that. Are you gonna have somebody that doesn't know you that might come through and be like, hey, you know what I mean? Where you from? Where you, like, yeah. And if you scared, you shouldn't be there. Yeah. If you don't know how to answer yourself, you shouldn't be there. Yeah. You feel me? And a lot of people aren't because they don't know how to do that, you know?
Right. They follow laws but don't know no codes.
Exactly. Yeah. And you could pretty much, you know, navigate your way through it by being yourself out here if you could do it correctly. You know what I'm saying? And understand, like, it's good days and it's bad days, man. Sometimes it ends terribly. You know what I mean? A lot of times, though, we get by and we keep laughing and, you know,
yes, indeed.
That's life.
What made you want to stay indie, even though back in 2013 you had the opportunity to sign with Interscope?
Being a CEO, talking to the bosses, the true people that made things happen, having my visions and my ideas be respected and heard. I never felt like that was really the case. I felt like it was like you know, people want to put you through a test or, like, you know, put you through what they feel like is the norm or the standard. And it's like you can negotiate your way past that to a certain extent, but it takes a person, an intelligent business owner to, you know, understand, like, who's a franchise player, who's not. You know what I'm saying? How to treat people and how not to. And my experience in the music business is everybody's pretty much treated the same, which is like the talent. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you sell or what you do, you know, that's really what it comes down to.
Until you make your own move.
Until you make your own move. But is it really designed for you to do that? No, not really. You know? And I just really didn't have no time to waste or to be, again, explaining my position in this or giving somebody 5 to 10 years of my life or my, you know what I'm saying, my music, just to one day for them to be like, okay, let's have a talk.
Yeah.
Like, we could have did that in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a bar about that.
We could have did that in the beginning.
You say, people trying to sign me, I'm like, you should sign with me.
Yeah. Yeah, like we could work together. No
right,
ego.
Partners.
I think people took a lot of it early on, especially when I was earlier in age, because they never really understood nobody like me or seen nobody like me or had to deal with anybody like me. Maybe it was more they thought it was ego or just being funny. A lot of people I heard used to say like, "Oh, he think he like Jay-Z and them." Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because of the success they had, and that wasn't it. It was just like, I watched everybody do their thing and we came this far. It's like our generation's job was to take it further, not to do it backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened, right?
Yeah.
Everybody would agree on that.
Yes,
From the
yes,
DJs on down,
yes,
it got worse.
Yeah.
So we got to be honest about that. My job was to try to prevent that, and I tried my best. You know, I worked with people that I loved and I felt like I respected, and I felt like was people that cared about it just as much as I did, and that had something, you know, to add to the art as much as me. And that was it.
That's why you don't take money for features, right?
Exactly.
I remember Exhibit told me a story of how he got on LA niggas. And he was like, he said he got the call from Dre.
Yeah.
And he said he just showed up and laid his verse. He said other people got that similar call and asked for money in the studio.
Right.
And were never invited back.
Exactly.
And I learned from X when to charge for a feature and when to not.
Right.
Now, in another era, that was back then.
Right.
Now, like if it's somebody who like, yeah, it's like I'm on that wave now.
Right.
It's like if I'm working with you, it's because I want to work with you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And like you said, it's times where you do charge if that's the business, but we speaking on, adding your verse onto great classic material, that's what makes you who you are. Adding your part, whatever you do, production, that's what makes you who you are. That's what brings you value, not the money that you're going to charge for whatever your service is. Like that could all go away, you know?
Right.
Exhibit got a lot more from being on the Chronic 2001 and being on tour and this and that than any amount that they was wanting to charge Dr. Dre just to, you know, make themselves feel satisfied at the time, you know?
Yeah.
And he understood that. That's kind of what, and yeah, similarly, like I've understood certain things as well, like working with people and just seeing like this is more for just the brand as a whole, not so much me getting $1,500, you know, or 10 G's. Like again, it's times where it's like that's the case nowadays because it's like we, you know. You might not have came up with somebody. They might just strictly want a Talib Kweli feature. Yeah. And you might expect the song. You might say, this song is good enough. But you know what? On top of my expert 16 bars, I need whatever you need.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair as well. You know? That's fair as well. You got to be mindful of both. That's what I say.
So does that mean anybody? So if I do a song and I'm like, hey, Dom, come do a feature for me, you just going to do my feature?
Absolutely not. That does not mean that. The majority of the people that I work with are artists, again, that I like their music, I respect their movement, and most important part, other than that, is artists that I work, that's my artist.
Right.
You know? I have enough music to make with that roster. So when I'm pretty occupied, you know. But if I meet somebody, I got a lot of guys that's coming up out of LA right now, young homies, getting deals, going independent. They hit me up for a verse. I'm gonna listen to it. Right. Of course, I'm gonna listen to it.
You have a personal and artistic relationship with the late Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace. Can you walk us through the creation of Double Up on Victory Lap?
Double Up. We being honest. So Double Up, you know, at the time. It was a time where me and Nip was really, really close, like every day close, couple years. You know, we was working a lot, we was doing a lot, always kept in touch, always remained solid up until the last moments, you know what I'm saying? During the process of making Victory Lap, you know, that album was a long time in the making. A thing that people don't know is like, when you listen to a song like Rap Niggas, for instance, Nip, I was there when Nip had that song, you know, and recorded that song. That was a lot. Previous. Nip was a real thinker, so it's like, how could I prove it? If you listen to a song like Rap Niggas, you'll hear ad-libs like, woo, things like that. That's me on the song. You feel what I'm saying? That's me on the song, being my homie hype man.
Right.
What I would do at a show for him. You know what I'm saying? If he was tell me, the last show we ever performed together, Rolling Loud, I came out way before I was supposed to perform. Just to do that, you know, ad-libbing, encourage, you know what I mean, get in, before we did the songs we had to do. So it was like, when it come to Nip, with me, it was like second nature, you know what I'm saying, with our music. Like, we had an energy that was like, I felt like unmatched from the beginning, you know, before people even respected what we did. In the process of him making Victory Lap, you know, it had got down to the point where it was like, he would tell me a lot about the songs when we would link, or I would see him, this is where he was at, you know. He was doing this thing, incorporating a lot of people. I was doing music as well, like how I always do. So we was kind of like in that space. And I remember him telling me like, yeah, man, the album is pretty much finished, but I got one song, you know, that only got one verse that I would use, that I want to use, but I only did one verse. I said, well, shit, play it for me, you know? And he played it for me. We was at Paramount. He played it, and I went right in the booth. You feel me?
Yeah.
I went right in the booth. I was like, yeah, all right, put the mic on. I went right in there. He was getting tatted. It was an incredible experience, you know what I'm saying, for the last song that we did together. And I just went right in there and just started piecing it together, you know what I'm saying, because the music that we made and the commonality that we had with just, you know, being from LA, 1 year apart, a lot of things, you know, that I didn't even realize during the time, you know, was it made it like almost like flawless and seamless to work together. You know?
Yeah, I do. I have partnerships like that. And
You
I can't
do.
imagine
You do.
losing
High
them.
tech, most def,
yeah, absolutely.
things like that, where it's like, even when y'all wrong, y'all right.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean?
know
Like,
exactly
in a
what you
way,
mean.
like, even if y'all don't, it ain't whatever, it's still something
Right.
great. You know,
Right.
it's still pieces of things in there that's never been heard before, that's never been talked, that's never been shared before, you know? And that's how me and them music always came out and always was, where it was like, we never struggled, we never talked about it, we never argued about it. We just did it, you know? We just did it and respected each other's space and what each other did, supported it, and and just was fans of each other, you know? Like, truly, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would sit there and be a pleasure to watch him do his own song.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even record nothing that day. And then the next day, I might do the 2 songs, and he just still hang out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And listen and appreciate it the same way, you know? And it was just like that. So by the time it came to Double Up, our chemistry was so like on point that it was like, okay, this the song you like, you know, I'm about to record right now.
Yeah, right.
You know? And then the next time I heard it was like when the album came out.
Such a great song. Rest in peace to Nipsey.
Absolutely.
And a great video, too.
Yeah.
It's like a little movie.
That video looked fun.
Nah, man.
The Game has an historic story about meeting Nipsey. I know you said that you guys were good from the beginning, but what was your exact first impression of meeting Nipsey?
My first time I met him, this was back in like Hollywood, you know, 2006, 7 maybe. It's different Hollywood though. It's not really no big clubs going on. The New West, as they call it, was making some noise. Glasses Malone, J-Rock. Nip was a part of that era of people. Like, he already had songs out. You know, he had already had a situation with Epic and Johnny Shipes and things like that. So when I first heard about him and saw the first video I ever saw of him, that's what let me know what he looked like. I didn't know anything. I heard the name, and then I looked it up. I saw the video. And so one day I'm in, and he might have been there with Renpaw. Shout out to Renpaw. We went to elementary school together, his best friend. You know, it was a club I remember in Hollywood. For some reason, we was there. It was like a LA little function. Nobody performing. It was just like a regular little bar. It might have been a Friday night. And I'm in there. And then I see him, it's like real dim lit, and I see some people coming in, and one of them is Nip. So I walk up to him immediately. I walked up to him and I introduced myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have no music out, but I knew what I was gonna do and what I was gonna mean to LA. So I introduced myself because I understood that he was somebody that I was gonna have to collaborate with and work with. I didn't know the extent our relationship would be, but I knew that he needed to know me and that I should introduce myself as you're supposed to do no matter who
Right.
you are and where you are.
Right.
If you see, a real soldier and you a soldier, like, you salute him. You feel me? So it's like, I just introduced myself, and I remember he looked at me. He was like, "Dom Kennedy, that's what's up. Nice to meet you." And they went their way, and I went my way. And we never talked about that moment either. Like, but that was the first time where we shook hands and like, looked at each other, and, face to face.
It's interesting because again, she was talking about Game's story, and that was the way that he introduced himself to Game, according to Game. So it was like definitely a situation where we all recognize each other's part in this.
Exactly.
Like, now I gotta say something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's just, again, that's how I carry myself in real life. If somebody I respect, or like I said, a real soldier, I'm gonna salute you. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, I knew who his homies was. Again, this is rap, but it's aside from rap. It's LA business too. So I knew Grandpa, from around the way, and like certain people that he hung out with, Copy Supreme, major LA factor. You know what I'm saying? And so I knew that it was all real, you know what I'm saying, by the company that he kept and like the things that he was saying. And so immediately my discovery of him, I knew like, okay, this is somebody that's, in the same vein of what I want to do. Yeah. And I always love the fact that he had Sam and Adam and they was their own. I think if they didn't have All Money In, I probably wouldn't have felt that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But they always had All Money In, and I knew their agenda was to make that as big as a Universal, as big as a Atlantic, as big as, no matter if they had to deal with them or sign with them for a time, I knew they mindset was like
they was
mine.
Beyond that.
They was beyond that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I wanted to do with my homies. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
so you saw a living example.
I saw that in them. What
and
they
from
doing.
The same place as you.
And so I said, and then I always wanted to shed light on that and champion that, because that's what the kids and the people that I thought, the homies that I knew, that's what they needed to see, that type of courage and structure in order to do that, what they eventually did and do now.
Speaking of the Game, again, we spoke earlier about how you executive produced Born to Rap. When the Game first came out, he contacted me and was like, yo, you the shit, I want to work with you. Yeah. We ended up working on some mixtapes together. He called you a West Coast legend, as I said before, but how did that come about where he was like, I need you to executive produce this album?
With Chuck, man, I think that, he was working on Born to Rap, the album that he put out that I, co-executive produced with him and his team. They hit me up originally for a feature. When I get there, it's a lot of people. His whole structure is a lot. Yeah. It's classic, like.
Yeah, it's rap shit.
Yeah. Right, to the extreme. Right. So, it's 35 people there, everything moving at one time. He talking to me, playing me the song. I got this hook. I want you to do this for me. And if you could, things like that. I'm like, cool, man, I got you. I think what surprised them, though, was the fact that after that, I listened to it and I turned around and I said, all right, well, let's make another song. You feel me? And then we made a song called $500 Candles.
It's a great song.
That he started his album with I think it's the second song on the album after the intro. I think after
I be buying $500 candles too. That's why I felt like the song spoke to me. That's like one of my extravagances.
Right.
Oh, is it?
Indulgences.
Yeah.
So I think that my response to doing the record for him and then saying let's do another one and then coming with that idea to the table based on all the energy that he already had in the room. And then I remember he just called me and said like, man, I just feel like I can't finish the album without you. And I told him, like, I got you, just being a man of my word. And I understood that he was serious about it and what he was asking me, I didn't have no ties to his crew. Like, those is not my people, you know what I'm saying? So it was nothing else that really connected us but that album, and the music. And so I would come every day, almost every day, sit in some days, not say nothing. Some days I would come with input. Some days I would ask different things of people. But it was the first time. I'm forever grateful to him no matter what, because it was the first time I got to do that.
Yeah.
Up for other than myself.
Yeah.
Which is something that I always felt like I could do and would be good at if somebody gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, I pressed him on this because I don't think it's his last album. But he said it's his last album.
Right.
But it's interesting that he made that decision on his last album.
Right.
Like, this is how I'm gonna go out.
Yeah. Nah, for sure. I don't think I ever asked him that, but I knew that those two, that first day was the reason why. It wasn't intentionally. He didn't hit me up asking me that or thinking that I was the person for the job. But I think that he liked how sincere the music became and more focused after I showed up.
Yeah.
And he wanted to like keep that in the
That
vibe.
energy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And was like, and felt like I was a person that could bring that amongst everybody just there doing whatever they do. Like if I was there, I'll make sure like it's something that's a little bit more to it than just the regular yes man, like, oh, that's hard, or oh, that's to do this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
that
like,
makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it came about, man. It was a great experience for sure.
Yeah, man.
Great experience for sure. Great album. Great album for sure. It's a lot of great material on there. He had a lot of great songs. I'll tell you this, like when I showed up, they already had maybe about 80, 90 songs recorded. By the time he put it out, we was at like 250. It sound crazy, but I seen the numbers, you know, because I would sit right next to the engineer and look at the computer and kind of give him, you know, pointers to do shit. So I would see when the songs got saved. Like, I remember when I showed up, what number that song was in the hood. And then by the time we was like finishing up, we was 220, 250 by the time it was done. You know, by the time they start mixing and like chopping shit, you know?
I've done both. I've done albums where I recorded, I don't know if I've ever recorded 250 songs.
But bro is a special monster when it comes to like
recording,
not giving a fuck and recording. You know? Like we'll probably care. Like me, like how you said, how many is the most you think you recorded?
For one project?
For one project.
Maybe 100.
See, I'm probably at 60, 70 if I was being favorable.
That's a lot. Like I said, maybe 100.
But that's me being picky, not wanting to rap on everything, not, you know, not having 10 producers every session. Like he's doing 3 or 4 songs and verses to different beats every day. He shows up.
Busta's on
8
that.
months.
Yeah, Busta's on that. Like the people who make it, I can tell you have to live in a studio.
Yeah.
You have to keep an engineer on deck that you could call right. I bet you could get an engineer here in an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For
like,
sure.
Or you do it yourself.
Right.
Or you recording yourself.
Exactly.
Like the people, that's the part that people miss is that working part.
Exactly.
You know, studying Deon Cole, because I'm going to interview him, and he was like, he said it's not the joke that works is not the work, it's the bombing. How much you bomb. He's like, for every 15 joke, I might get one funny one. That's the real work.
Figuring out the 15.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's real.
You talked to me earlier about how long you've known Hit Boy for. You've known him for forever.
Yeah.
He has been making a lot of noise lately, particularly with his album with Nas, but that's not the only thing that he's been involved in. I love his work with Benny the Butcher. I didn't know he rapped like that.
Yeah.
I was telling you I hadn't really heard his solo stuff, but as an MC, I'm impressed with Hit Boy and your collab Half a Mil. I'm impressed with his rap skills on these projects.
Yeah.
Let's give Hit Boy his flowers and talk about Hit Boy.
Man, that's my brother, man. One of the most, probably the top, I don't think God made. They just put out a list, and I called him because I was mad. Somebody put out a Billboard list about producers in whatever this century, and he wasn't on there, top 50. And I'm like, man, it haven't been 50 people since Jesus Christ that, you know what I mean, do anything with music better than Hit Boy. I could tell you that factually. Whether people want to realize it or acknowledge it or not, that's on you. But I'm telling you, it hasn't been 50 people created, you know? Man, he got so much more. Like they say, like the ice, when you run into an iceberg, the part that gets you is only the 10% you can see.
Yeah.
The 10% is sticking up. The 90% is what knocked the boat over. The shit under the water you can't see. And that's a perfect example of Hit Boy. Like for as great as he is, you know, people still don't know the full depth of what he could do, you know, and it's all about timing and the right opportunities. But my reason, I respect his art, his rap. I love the beats that he makes in the music, but he has a story as well and a passion for, you know, being an MC, a rapper, an artist, whatever you want to call it. Like he truly has that passion, you know, as what outside of from the people that he works with. Like he's the only person that could be like, look, I produced this whole Nas album and watch this video for my solo single I just put out. You know what I mean? And it'll be dope. You know what I'm saying? Like whether people watch it or not or want to accept it, that's up to them again. But me as a rapper, I'm looking at like, nah, this shit is hard, bro. Like, You know what I mean? And he'll get on other people's music too, which is another thing I respect. Like if I bring him a beat from a producer that, you know, he'll rap on it with me as well. You know what I mean?
So are there beats on those projects that he didn't produce? Okay, I didn't know that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
not
really,
but
it's not as much. I'm approaching it like it's a producer MC collab. It's not that.
Nah,
it's an artist collab.
Yeah.
Whatever y'all bring to the table,
and he makes the beats on probably 80% of them. But nah, it's an artist collab. When we work together on the Courtesy of Half a Meal, it's an artist true collaboration. Like I have an admiration for what he does as an MC. Truly, you know what I'm saying? Like I hear what he says and sees how he puts it together, and I'm like, yo,
I appreciate
nice.
you for doing the project with him and exposing that, because now I do.
Yeah.
As well. I that's my entry point to now make me want to go check his solo shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like this conversation was overdue, brother. I know when I see you, I'm in the right room.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate
Likewise.
you. Yes, I appreciate you taking your time to come to the People's Party. You are a class act, and I just got one more question. What is next for you? I know we talked a little bit about the From the Westside with Love 3.
Yeah, From the Westside with Love 3. OPM as a label. We got a lot of artists I'm gonna be putting out. Not a lot, but I've been working with a lot of artists last couple years and working with new artists too that have yet to drop anything on the label. So that's really my focus, honestly, right now. You know what I'm saying? As far as the business goes and the music goes, you know what I mean? I don't have like multiple different things. Like we do have the merch, but that's self-sustained. You know what I mean? Like the brand is self-sustained. It is what it is. But my focus right now is on From the Westside with Love 3 and just innovating the music game again, you know? Putting some new energy, some honesty into it again. You know, whether it gets appreciated, celebrated, whatever, that's not my business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm down, like you said earlier about if you an artist, you gonna make art. You know what I mean? I'm a true artist. Like I look at myself like on the lines of like Picasso. That's what I tell my son with the music game. Like don't compare me to, you know, that's honestly what I tell him. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like, you'll have to think on something like that to where it's like, if Lord bless me, I plan on being, 70 years old maybe one day. And I want to be able to hear my music and know it's not all silly shit.
Yeah.
And me just talking about what was temporary or what I thought I knew at the time to be true. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
And it's like, I don't see that a lot. I definitely don't hear that a lot. I don't see that a lot. And I know it's important to live in the moment and, have fun and do all of that, but it's a responsibility that comes with getting on the microphone.
Say that.
No matter who's paying for it or who's getting the residuals. And it might come back to hurt you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it might come back to reward you. So be careful. You know what you wish for out here. I could honestly say that. If you don't believe nothing else we said today, you'll rewind that part back.
Word up. Word up. You're not in it for the accolades. You're not in it for the rewards, but the reward that you receive is the love and the respect and the flowers from the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And to be, as true to myself and to be able to be comfortable wherever I walk, and not have to be like, oh, I said this over here, so I can't go over here. You know what I'm saying? Or I did this over here, so I can't go. Or I got to explain to them why I did. Like, I'm not with none of that. I'm not with none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going how I'm going. You know what I mean? If you got a problem with it, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? If not, like, I'm going to keep going, still, even after we talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. I've done both. You know what I mean? But I'm not out here trying to, like, exploit anything. I'm trying to, if anything, give something back. Like how we had the baseball conversation, I want to be a pleasure to watch and experience, and people say they saw me live one day, or they heard they was this age when my album came out. They was in high school. One of the coolest things to me is now some of the more popular artists of today, the younger kids, like 20s and stuff, mid-20s, early 20s, like how I was, they was the ones listening to my music. And people didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people get into interviews and stuff, and they say, "Who's your favorite artist?" or "Who do you like listen to?" And they say Dom Kennedy, and they look shocked. Like Megan Thee Stallion say that, and they'll look shocked. And it's like, I've been going to Houston doing shows.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been made money out there. I've been had sold out shows in Houston. You feel what I'm saying? Like, but they didn't have a vision to understand it, and more importantly, they didn't want to pay us.
That's right.
But they gonna have to, eventually.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? They gonna have to eventually.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Dom Kennedy.